I am back in full-blown sewing mode, so let's talk about how to sew straight. Obviously, if you are new to sewing, you are going to struggle with sewing straight, so I just want to give you 3 tips on how to sew straight. The first tip I have for sewing straight is you want to slow down. One of the things that new sewists always run into when they're starting to sew is that they tend to run the machine too fast, and the faster you sew, the harder it is to control the direction of the fabric. You see, it's kind of hard to keep this line going perfectly straight. You can see how there's a little bit of wobbliness in the line. If you are struggling with sewing straight, slow down your sewing. Instead, you're going to want to go at a speed right about here until you are comfortable. And then you can start speeding up once you get comfortable sewing straight lines. But you see how much straighter and how much more control I have over the direction of the fabric if I'm sewing slower. And here you can see how much straighter this line is. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, do not look at your needle when you're sewing. It's very tempting when you're first starting out to just put all your attention right here, but that's not what you want to pay attention to. What you want to be looking at is the edge of your fabric. And you want to use these guidelines, or whatever guideline that you want to use to guide the straightness of your fabric. That is where your attention needs to be. So as I'm sewing, I have lined my fabric up with this guideline, and that is what I'm paying attention to. I'm only looking at the edge of my fabric, and I am keeping it right up against that guideline. That is going to help you sew straighter. Do not look at your needle. So, and the third tip I have is to get a magnetic seam guide. I thought I had one and I can't find the one that I have, but this is basically what it looks like. It's basically a little piece of metal that you put onto your needle plate, and you just line up your fabric against that piece of metal. That can really help you to sew a bit straighter if you're struggling with keeping the fabric right up against these lines without there being a barrier to stop that. So that is tip number 3.